Kevin Owens had an exceptional year, and then it started falling apart where after he had won the Universal Championship, because from his first defense at Clash of Champions, his rest of the year was cemented in being the cowardly heel that got his ass kicked every single second of the day, and yeah. So everyone was hoping for, okay, like, I know Kevin Owens' final months in 2016 were questionable, despite being Universal Champion and constantly needing help to such a dangerous extreme. But let's hope 2017 is the rebuilding period for Kevin Owens, who is still Universal Champion, so we will have to wait a little bit longer for that. So, after the roadblock, the end of the line ended with a disqualification, which I must stress was the main event. This led to Reigns getting a rematch at Royal Rumble, being under the stipulation that would see Jericho, who had pinned Reigns in a handicap match also involving Owens, to win the U.S. title on January 9th, being suspended above the ring in a shark-proof cage. It was also revealed to be a no disqualification match, rendering this part completely pointless. And even then, despite Chris Jericho being in that cage, he would still send brass knuckles down, so basically nothing was accomplished with this. However, Owens would get help from the incomparable Braun Strowman and retain the Universal Championship. So yeah, Strowman tries to basically murder Roman Reigns following what happened with him, Goldberg, spearing him at the same time. Yeah, he was pissed at that still. But he never went after Goldberg, sadly. So the following night on Raw, Owens defended the title against Strowman, who revealed that he had helped Owens retain the Universal Championship because of his dislike for Reigns and because Owens had promised him a title shot late into 2016, and they showed archival footage of it, which means logic, people! Logic! It's the end of time! So, yeah. And also around this time, Owens had started something called the Kevin Owens Show, with a guy wearing a Kevin Owens Show logo on his face. Okay, that was honestly hilarious. And yeah, especially when Kevin Owens called Goldberg delusional, Goldberg just smiles and says, "Yep." And I'm like, okay, so you're admitting you're crazy. Okay, yay? Anyways. However, due to the fact Strowman wanted a match against Owens for the title, sadly that was not meant to be, as much as Strowman was so close. Reigns attacked both him and Strowman and Owens, and then following that, Kevin Owens would be challenged by Goldberg for the Universal Championship at Fastlane, which Jericho accepted on Owens' behalf, much to his dismay and anger. And then on February 13th episode of Raw, the most tragic moment in all of wrestling happened. Jericho hosted the Festival of Friendship. And yeah. And then also, let's see, Owens beats the hell out of Gillberg. Yeah. And the weird gifts that were bestowed about him, especially how man and God do that hand thing, except it's replaced with Owens and Jericho. Yeah, I'm surprised religious institutions did not go crazy on that, surprisingly. But moving on. Anyways, here's the thing about that segment. Jericho and Vince McMahon actually wrote up that segment, but Triple H wanted to cut it down and actually just have Owens attack Jericho. And I was like, wait. Vince wrote this segment? I'm like, Jericho helped out, but Vince wrote this segment? Like, there's emotion, there's a story, there's a continuity, there's Jericho admitting that this was the best year he ever had with Owens. And Vince wrote this? Yeah, I'm still surprised by that. And Triple H wanted to cut it down and just go straight forward with the attack? Well, at least Vince can rub it in Triple H's face saying, "Ha, I made a successful segment! Leave it in your face, Triple H! For all your multiple shows, multiple achievements, I wrote the Festival of Friendship, damn it! Yeah. And Owens presented Jericho with a new list because the other one was being destroyed, but Jericho realized that not only was his name on it, it was also called the List of KO. And Owens viciously destroyed him in a symbolic scene where Kevin Owens smashes Chris Jericho's head in through the Festival of Friendship Geritron style computer. And here's the thing, I thought it was kind of weird, kind of like a cycle. Think about it. Before that, it was Chris Jericho doing it to Shawn Michaels, who Jericho idolized. And then before that, Shawn Michaels did it to his best friend, Marty Jannetty, who they were best friends with in the storyline and in real life, but this was storyline focused. Except that was through a glass window at a barbershop during the Brutus Beefcake barbershop segment. So yeah, so what's next? Like, it led me to think, so who's next on the whole, who's going to get viciously betrayed in a horribly defining emotion of anger? Is this going to be Sami Zayn again doing that to Kevin Owens? And turn Kevin Owens face? Like, I would probably like that, but they would have to be very freaking creative on that. Which I doubt. And, okay, I originally was going to talk about WWE 365, the inaugural episode with Kevin Owens, but because it covers most of 2017, I decided not to talk about it, but I will reference it a lot. Specifically, how Kevin Owens heading into that segment, he had the mentality that, okay, we're going to do Universal Championship match between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. That's going to be one of the main events. However, that was not meant to be because they changed that plan and went forward with Goldberg defeating Owens in 22 seconds with help from Jericho, which is still hugely ironic, thus ending his championship reign at 188 days in 22 seconds. And here's the thing that really pissed me off. Between the Festival of Friendship and Fastlane, Kevin Owens was actually being booked the way everyone wanted him to be, but they know it's Vince giving the middle finger to everybody saying, oh, I'll make him the guy you want to be just for him to drop the title in a humiliating fashion by Goldberg. So, yeah, it feels like this was a big middle finger to everybody. So, following that horrendous disaster, Owens accepted Jericho's challenge for their match at WrestleMania 33, as long as Jericho would defend the U.S. Championship, which Owens and Jericho fought in a huge matchup. It was awesome. It was the culmination of months and months and months of storytelling, which surprises me because there was reported that Vince hates those kind of storylines. He does. I wanted to talk about that in the Wrestle Kingdom video, but I forgot. But yeah, Vince McMahon hates year-long storylines. At best, you'll get 6 months. But, yeah, that means we might never see another Authority-style storyline or any kind of big storyline like Raven versus Tommy Dreamer style from ECW, but not as violent. So, good luck with that. And Owens would win that match. It was awesome, thus having won every available singles heavyweight championship on the main roster except for the WWE Championship. And then something happened. On the WWE 365, Kevin Owens kept saying like he felt like something was missing in that match. It's like something was eating away at him, like something about that match he didn't like. And everyone was telling him, "Oh, it's awesome." Everyone's praising him. But then he went up to Vince and says, "Hey, are we cool?" And basically asking how was the match and saying, "Was it good?" And Vince said no. Why? Like, yeah, even now, from when I first saw that episode, I was still trying to wrap my head around, wait, why did Vince not like the match? Because it's a wrestling match and not his overly gimmicky storyline? That this was actually built up for months and months and months? Like, I can only think he probably lost his mind still, but I was trying to wonder, like, I could get Kevin Owens not liking the match because he feels like it had more potential, especially since he was at one point promised that this was going to be for the Universal Championship where he would defend it against Jericho, and originally Jericho was saying that I was supposed to end up with him winning the title, which surprised me. And also solidifies why Vince is more favoritism towards the older guards instead of the new guard. But yeah, I was still wondering that as well. Like, why? Like, I've been trying to figure that out, and I have never come to a logical conclusion. Like, the fans can say it's some liked it, some hate it, because it's their opinion, but Kevin Owens can also say it because he's the guy who performed in the match, and he would feel like something's missing to it. But why does Vince hate the match? In fact, why is Kevin Owens asking for Vince's opinion? Like, I get he's the boss and everything, but this is the same guy that has buddy-buddy with a guy who hates him because he's fat. At least in his eyes. Like, remember that segment a few years back in 2015? They lingered on a sign that said Fat Owens Fat for a little bit longer than it should have been expected, because it turns out Kevin Dunn, who is in charge of the camera productions, ordered that change because he doesn't like Kevin Owens because he's too big boned, he's a little overweight, therefore I get to fat shame him. And Vince also screwed him over with the whole Cena's merchandise is down by 2 points. We got to do something. Let Cena win every match against you. 2 points, damn it. Like, at that point, Kevin Owens just snapped and just said, and told Vince off and said, okay, you didn't like my match, fine, whatever. But at least it wasn't Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 26. I would have said, okay, yep, I would have loved if he said that. Like, I know he would probably get fired for that, but let's be honest. At this point, Vince doesn't like him. Vince doesn't seem to like him, like, at all. And gave him a horrible reign as Universal Champion. So, yeah. And the fact that he was told that that was originally a planned Universal title match between Jericho and Owens. Yeah. I get the feeling Owens should have just done that. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. I'm in the wrong here, but I would have loved it. Owens just snapped to just told that to Vince's face. Because seriously, Vince. But luckily, Owens would get his revenge months later. Granted, it was staged, but it was still pretty awesome, and also could be seen as revenge. So, following WrestleMania, Owens and Samoa Joe looked like they were going to team up and form a new two-man power trip, which I would have loved. However, yeah, sadly, he would be drafted to SmackDown Live as part of the Superstar Shakeup. And Owens had a new shaved-up look, had his hair trimmed a bit, referring to himself as the face of America. And unfortunately for him, Sami Zayn is here to save the day, much to Owens' anger. Yeah. Yeah, not good. So yeah, anyways, Owens then started wearing a suit, which he started wearing since winning the Universal Championship in 2016 of August, and more frequently in interviews and promos specifically. At Payback on April 30th, Owens sadly lost the title back to Jericho, ending his reign at 28 days, rendering this whole thing pointless. However, Owens would reclaim the title on May 2nd following that pay-per-view by defeating Jericho and then attacking him and injuring him after the match as well, mostly to write him off because he's going to do Fozzy. Yeah. So, yeah, Jericho was still scheduled to fight Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship at Payback, but if Jericho wins, he goes to SmackDown, which was clearly the reason why, mostly to just write him off, even though they could have just done it at Payback and Kevin Owens still wins. But we wouldn't get the triple threat match that would happen later. He would then enter a feud with AJ Styles, which everyone was hyped up for. At Backlash, they delivered an awesome match. However, it ended with count-out to retain the U.S. title because he managed to surprisingly trap Styles in the commentator table, whereas usually a heel would just get themselves counted out intentionally. Surprising. And it was later announced that Owens would compete in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and along with his rival Sami Zayn, rival Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin, in which Corbin emerged victorious. And the reason why I'm not talking about Baron Corbin's year is because, yeah. So, yeah, following this, on the following episode of SmackDown Live, Owens issued an open challenge to defend his his United States Championship, which was answered by Chad Gable, who Owens retained to the title while Styles was on commentary during the match. So following this, on July 7th at Madison Square Garden, we had a surprising end. Owens loses the United States Championship to Styles, ending his second reign at 66 days, and Kevin Owens was wondering, why was that even planned? Like, even in the 365 documentary, he kept wondering why that was planned. Like, they had something going with it, and then they just fucked it all up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was now thinking, like, that moment was going to be more awesome when he was eventually told he's going to do that. And then, even more confusing, Owens defeats Styles in a rematch to capture the U.S. title for a third time at Battleground, which I did not watch because I heard Battleground sucked. And then here's the thing I kept hearing. Chris Jericho had confirmed that that match was horribly botched. The ending to that match was botched. Another report came out saying that Vince McMahon was originally going to have Styles retain, but ultimately gave it back to Kevin Owens in the middle of the goddamn match. How cheap is this bastard? Like, how do you change a match midway? I mean, like, how? Like, I know the referee has a headpiece, but still, like, why change it midway? At least Brock Lesnar and Undertaker had, like, what, 2 hours to come up with something before the disaster of a match at WrestleMania 30, which still ended up being bad in terms of Undertaker's health. So, yeah. So, following that horrible disaster, Kevin Owens would cut a promo once again. Styles comes out to challenge him. After Chris Jericho makes a surprising return because Chris Jericho was not supposed to be on that show, but because he was at the same place, they said, hey Jericho, can you come over here and help us with this thing? We kind of fucked it up majorly. So can we end it up with a triple threat match? Okay. And I loved how Chris Jericho still did the list to AJ Styles, and while he's doing all that, Kevin Owens is like, oh my god, why the fuck did I go into this? And then just walked, and then just grabbed his title and started walking away while Chris Jericho was still berating Styles. And all I'm thinking is like, I wonder what Kevin Owens was thinking. Like, oh my god, this match is going to be, oh my god, really? I can't believe I was buddies with this guy. Or something like that. But, sadly, Styles would once again regain the United States Championship because Chris Jericho was pinned after Kevin Owens had him down, but Styles took the fall for it. Got the victory. Owens, incensed that Shane McMahon ordered this match to happen, started blaming everybody on it, specifically Shane, and it was announced that the following week, Owens received a rematch where Styles was again retained after the referee did not see Owens' shoulder up due to accidentally being struck by Owens during earlier in the match. After the match, Owens demanded a rematch at SummerSlam, much to the agreement of Bryan and Shane, because they realized that there was a bad call here. Oh my god, authority figures siding with the villains, who are actually good guys. Oh god, this is the apocalypse. So yeah, moving on from that. SmackDown Live General Manager Daniel Bryan then made a match between Owens and Styles for the US title, with Shane McMahon, of all people, being the special guest referee. Yeah. So, yeah, moving on from that. And, Owens shoved a referee, and surprisingly did not get punished for that, whereas Roman Reigns did shove a referee and get punished for that for, quote, $5,000. Yeah, that doesn't sound like much for punishment, since Reigns is loaded at this point. So, yeah, moving on. Following that, Owens would attempt to try... During this time, Owens dropped the Face of America gimmick and reverted back to his prizefighter gimmick, shedding both the shoots, American-oriented promos, and his pursuit of the U.S. title was just that, a prizefighter gimmick. So, during the build-up to that match, Owens and Styles would try to somewhat sway Shane over to their side, But, yeah. At SummerSlam, Owens, in his arrogance, got himself screwed by Shane McMahon, and thus losing to AJ Styles. And also, Styles also had issues with Owens. I mean, with Shane. And I was surprised Kevin Owens referenced Shane McMahon officiating a referee match in, from the Attitude Era. Like, they show clip of the Attitude Era where Shane McMahon gives the middle finger to Stone Cold during the whole tournament for the WWF Championship, which surprised me. I was like, wait, they're referencing something from the past? And not like 2 years ago, like decades ago? Like the Attitude Era match that happened? Oh my god, what's going on here? What is with all the logic and continuity and respecting the source material? Yeah, I'm still surprised by that. Owen, in his rage, then demanded one more rematch against Styles, which Shane allowed, with Baron Corbin as the special guest referee, and Owens originally wanted Sami Zayn, but that failed miserably. But, once again was unsuccessful after Corbin walked out of the match and Shane took over, distracting Owens enough for Styles to capitalize and win. This also meant that as long as Styles held the title, Owens could not challenge Styles for the title again, ending the feud with Styles. For now. So, Owens and his insanity, and now morphing into a new character, and a very familiar character to those who watched it during the Indies, was slowly starting to morph back to Kevin Steen. Owen started insulting Shane's children, kept saying that everyone would have benefited if Shane was killed in a helicopter crash. Yeah, we're going with wishful murdering. So, causing Shane to attack Owens, and as a result, Shane was suspended, and Bryan announced that Vince McMahon would appear on SmackDown Live the following week, and Owens threatening lawsuits. Yeah, because he didn't put a hand on Shane, so basically he kind of has a legal right to an extent, though at the same time he provoked Shane into attacking him. And at the same time, Bryan called Shane kind of a hypocrite because Bryan, as much as he said, screw the job, I want to punch Miz, he restrained himself because Shane told him that's not the right thing to do for business. So yeah, I don't know if Bryan would side with Owens on this matter. So, Vince McMahon, after verbally berating Owens for virtually everything, and also insulting his weight, thereby confirming that he is in cahoots with Kevin Dunn in terms of Owens' appearance, physically. So we're going to go with the fashion department, and they're going to take a shot at CM Punk. And Vince McMahon goes ahead and says that laws were made for people like him. Yeah, considering how things would go on for the next year regarding his best friend in real life, I would say that might be true. And I'd rather not talk about those kind of things. Moving on. So, yeah. Shane McMahon was announced to fight Kevin Owens at Hell in a Cell. Inside Hell in a Cell. And oh man, Owens would say this: "Give me your word that if provoked, I can beat a McMahon senseless." And Vince, being an idiot, because that's how he's acting right now, says, "You have my word," which causes Owens to do the awesomest thing in all of his career, probably in terms of WWE. Headbutt him, repeatedly assault him, frog splash him with his massive weight, because Vince has a condemnation towards anyone who's slightly overweight, before being ordered away from the ring by his actual friend in real life, Adam Pearce, and also Stephanie McMahon telling him to get out, even though Owens said that he could beat a McMahon senseless. He never said a gender. So basically, Owens could have just attacked Stephanie, but then we would have neo-feminist's craziness attacking WWE for being sexist and having a man beat up a woman. Even though if, say, they reversed it and Stephanie beat up Kevin Owens, even though that wouldn't make any logical sense, everyone would have been alright with that. At least the crazy ones. So, yeah, that was still an awesome moment. And I'm pretty sure Owens, although Owens did have this look of like, okay, how do I do this without, you know, crippling him? But at the same time, I'm pretty sure, I wouldn't be surprised if a small, tiny portion of him was like, okay, yeah, he had this coming. Like, I didn't want him to go full-fledged shoot from the hip because variety of reasons, and the fact that, Sexy Star happened, and we don't like talking about that regarding her and Rosemary. So, moving on from that. So, and on September 26th episode of SmackDown Live, Owens renewed his hostility with Sami Zayn and proceeded to defeat him by referee stoppage in the main event. And Owens, like I said, was slowly morphing back to Kill Sting Kill, especially when he's just sitting there looking all euphoric about what he's done and looking more and more insane, and then he decides, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to try and kill him. And basically crush his throat and end his career, but sadly Shane McMahon would come save the day for Owens' anger, and even though he kind of succeeded in saving Sami Zayn, Owens threw Sami, still with the chair lost to his neck, into Shane while escaping. Yeah. And then Shane and Owens had one final confrontation where they fight the living hell out of each other throughout the arena after Shane McMahon had announced that this would be a Falls Count Anywhere Hell in a Cell match. You know, I always thought Hell in a Cell match always had, you know, Falls Count Anywhere stipulations added to it. They didn't need to they didn't need to say it, but it was always implied because, didn't Triple H and Chris Jericho's match at Hell in a Cell end on top of on top of the structure? And that would be the last time that would happen. So, and even the video games, yeah, the default option says that Falls Count Anywhere is in the stipulation for Hell in a Cell back in the old WWE games, so I didn't see the whole difference. So at Hell in a Cell, everyone was saying this. Everyone was hoping Kevin Owens would do the pop-up powerbomb on Shane and crash him through the structure, because with the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation, that gave indication that, yeah, this is going to take place on top of the cell. Sadly, that he would do that, but they never actually went all the way with it regarding throwing Shane through the structure. Missed opportunity there. But instead we get a plot twist. Sami Zayn interfered and pulled Owens off the announce table as Shane attempted his signature leap of faith off the cell. Failing for the second time. He should really stop doing the leap of faith because he really sucks at delivering on his leap of faith. So yeah. And then after that, SmackDown Live, Sami Zayn then referred Owens to it as his brother after revealing why he helped Owens rather than allow Shane to win. And like I said, that actually made sense. And as much as Owens and Sami Zayn hate each other, at the end of the day, they're brothers in their terms of their friendship. In fact, Kevin Owens, back when he was Kevin Steen, and when Sami Zayn was, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn never turned heel when he was partnered up with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was the face during his time in the Indies with together. That says something. So, yeah. And then, following that, they would team together for the remainder of the year, defeating Shinsuke Nakamura and Randy Orton on the October 17th episode, where afterwards Zayn gave Orton a low blow, and they realized that there was a couple of minutes left to the show after it was revealed Shane McMahon was going to be returning. And then they realized, oh god, we gotta end this on a high note. We gotta end this somehow. Go out there and just celebrate. And Kevin Owens is screaming with the microphone in hand, like, hold me tight, hold me whatever, and whatnot. And I'm like, oh god, this guy is hilarious. But sadly, we got Kill Sting Kill. Now he's back to goofy Kevin Owens, which was a little disappointing. And during the build-up to Survivor Series, Owens and Zayn said that the reason why they didn't join in on the Raw Under Siege angle was because they, quote, don't support dictators. Which actually makes sense to me because they had no reason to be loyal to Shane. This whole feud's revolving around hating Shane. So they're actually thinking with their brains, and they would get condemned for that. So, yeah. They failed to gain a spot in the tag team of Survivor Series, with their losses coming against Nakamura and Orton respectively. And on November 7th episode of SmackDown, they initiated a feud with the New Day. Owens was at ringside when Zayn faced Kofi Kingston, but failed to break up the pin, resulting in Zayn losing and beat up Kingston after the match. Following that, something happened. Originally, apparently the New Day was supposed to beat the hell out of them, but then they escaped, and then a report came out that I've covered where Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were now starting to be more defiant and more like getting sick of what they were being treated like, which is perfectly understandable, and considering what happened to Jimmy Jacobs, that could also have contributed, and what happened to Neville. And they were like the inner clique back in NXT, like it was him, Sami Zayn, Neville, Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, all being very favored by Triple H, yet at the same time they weren't getting more opportunities unlike the rest of the NXT guys. In fact, they were kind of, like, I kept thinking, like, I said this one time in a comment in one of the articles talking about it, it's like, wait, I thought all of NXT was his clique. Like, practically they are. They all do the hand signs from time to time, and Triple H used almost everyone that's in NXT to do his awesome entrance at WrestleMania 32. Yeah, Finn Balor was in that group of minions, so yeah, you got an army there. So, yeah, they had some heat, and then heading into that, on November 14th episode of SmackDown Live, Owens and Zayn would fight Big E and Xavier Woods, but their match was interrupted by The Shield and part of Raw's new invasion of SmackDown. Owens and Zayn, looking like they're going to help, just went ahead, rolled out, and escaped, allowing The Shield to beat the hell out of the New Day. And they did help. So Owens and Zayn are then relegated to the kickoff show to fight Breezango, much to their equal frustration. Later that night in the main event, they attacked Shane McMahon, but it backfired after Shane McMahon attacked both with the steel chair in order to deliver an RKO to Owens. Despite the fact, even though he got rid of them, that he did nothing to save Orton from being eliminated. And subsequently would lose that match, so Shane's still incompetent. And then one final storyline would begin. On November 21st edition of SmackDown, Shane was about to fire both Owens and Zayn because they're not loyal to the brand, except they have no reason to be loyal. They're more freaking about their careers instead of being goddamn idiots who are injected with brand loyalty blood, like what happened in 2016 Survivor Series. Though that was played more continuity because at least they admitted that, yeah, I don't like you, so yeah. So yeah, Daniel Bryan would interrupt him and made the announcement that the tag team match against the New Day would be a lumberjack match in which Owens and Zayn were victorious. But the New Day attacked Zayn after the match while Owens escaped, and then Owens went on his knees and begged not to be fired by Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan admitted that, yes, as much as I don't like you guys, especially after you bashed me a month ago, calling me a hypocrite, I do see the talent in you, and you would be better off being here instead of going to Raw and ultimately not getting something out of it. So Owens would defeat Orton in a no DQ match. Despite Zayn being banned, he would get help from Zayn. Except here's the thing, and they pointed this out. Sami Zayn was banned from ringside. No. He attacked him from the ramp, which means he is perfectly in the right here, but fuck logic and continuity's sake, we gotta still condemn them for trying to think with their brains. This would ultimately lead to a match between Orton and Nakamura and Owens and Zayn, where their jobs would be put on the line, because Shane McMahon, as much as he has said, I don't have a grudge against them, to admit, yeah, I have a grudge against them, I'm just being a liar about it. Orton and Nakamura would ultimately lose that match, and surprisingly the match sucked in terms of how the focus was mostly on the special guest referees McMahon and Bryan. And after it was revealed Shane was going to play favorites, practically admitting it, Bryan gave them the fast count because knowing that if he did do that, they would have been screwed. And later on, Owens and Zayn would heading into 2018, Owens would score a victory over AJ Styles. And in the beginning of 2018, Sami Zayn would get a victory over AJ Styles. making both of them earn a title shot at the Royal Rumble. So yeah, apparently Daniel Bryan might be turned to the dark side, though considering how he has presented Logic, I'm pretty sure he will, because, you know, Logic's evil for people, actual Logic. So, Kevin Owens had a huge recovery year, in my opinion, after the Universal title debacle. But I'm still wondering the whole 365-day example of Vince not liking the match, despite the fact that Vince has never done a high-quality technical matchup of wrestling. He's done hardcore stipulations to it. And the one time they tried to do that kind of match, it sucked, especially since the fact that Bret Hart hadn't wrestled in over a decade, and the fact that he had a stroke and he couldn't wrestle the way he could, even if he was still able to wrestle. So yeah, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn look like they're gonna have something. I really hope this feud goes somewhere. I really hope this tag team really gets going, and honestly, I would want to see them win the tag team titles eventually. Like, yeah, though at the same time, I would love... Kevin Owens had said he would be interested in turning face, but like I said, they would have to come up with something very goddamn creative to make Owens a legitimate face, but that wouldn't work because Vince doesn't like that notion because, well, you have to change up everything that you are because you're overweight, you have a beard, you're not Strowman, and your hair is all raggedy and messed up. And for some reason, the internet, being the cruel, sick psychopaths that some people are on here, decided to make it sound like Kevin Owens had an affair against his wife. Why? And Kevin Owens kept mentioning he had an emergency during his time in during a tour, and Triple H had to take his place because something happened at home. No idea what it was. They haven't confirmed. They never talked about what it was. But Triple H, you know, being the guy who actually gives two shits, actually said, No. I know I was on a show, and Kevin Owens had to go back home because of something happening, but give him the money. He was supposed to be on the show. I just came out to help. He deserves the money. He deserves everything he gets from the show if he had come. So I was like, Triple H, lead by example. So yeah, Kevin Owens had a pretty great year, especially at the year end of it, between September to the end of 2017, despite the little amount of he apparently got in November. But yeah, at least he managed to go out on a high note, defeating Styles and setting up a feud for the WWE Championship. So it's going to be interesting where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn go from here. Especially, I'm wondering what they're going to do at WrestleMania. I'm curious about that. I know Owens and Zayn are said to be involved in it, but there's speculation that Shane might do something with a tag team partner. And I was honestly thinking like Owens and Zayn should start building up more disgruntled workers. You know, anyone that is pissed off with Vince McMahon's regime, but sadly that would have been too great of an idea, and Vince doesn't want to admit he's wrong on something. So yeah. Like honestly, I don't know how a match with Triple H and Owens would work. I don't know if they would still be buddies after Triple H had to witness his father-in-law being horribly beaten by Kevin Owens. Though at the same time, they could set up a coup d'etat storyline, which would be awesome if it was done right. But sadly, that might not happen. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to what Kevin Owens has in store. I'm hoping Sami Zayn can finally let me have a chance to talk about his year, because he really did not do anything in 2017 until, like, literally at the last moment. Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting where 2018 heads for these two guys, especially Owens. But yeah, I can't wait what's going to be in store for them. These were my thoughts on Kevin Owens' 2017. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more. And you can't teach that.